The Amazon rainforest is one of the greatest mysteries of our time. It's an area so vast and so unexplored that we've barely scratched the surface of what lies within. The Amazon basin covers an enormous 7 million square kilometers, and within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remain almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. To put that into perspective, that's an area the size of the entire Indian subcontinent. For many years, there was a dogma that human beings couldn't have thrived in the Amazon. It was considered a resource-poor area with poor soils, and it was challenging to get to, far from the Bering Straits. The view was that humans hadn't entered the Amazon until about 1,000 years ago. But gradually, that view has begun to change. And it's changed because of the tragic clearances of the Amazon. The rainforest is being cut down and turned into soybean farms and cattle ranches. And in that process, things have emerged that shouldn't be there at all. For example, evidence that large cities flourished in the Amazon, enormous cities that were larger than London in the 16th century. There were millions of people, a thriving culture, and advanced arts and crafts. But a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542 was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing these incredible cities, but when other Europeans got into the Amazon 100 years later, they couldn't find them. They said Francisco de Orellana made it all up. It was just a fantasy. But now, as the clearances of the Amazon have proceeded, we've begun to see the traces of those cities. What happened was that the Spaniards brought smallpox into the Amazon, and it devastated the local population because there was no immunity to it. There was a massive die-off, and the cities were deserted. Within 50 years, they were completely overgrown by the jungle, and that's why they were not seen by the explorers who came 100 years later. But now, as the jungle is being cleared, those cities are emerging. And we can say that there were cities all over the Amazon, with a possible total population that exceeded 20 million people. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. But how did they feed all these people? After all, rainforest soils are poor, and soybean farms are a stupid idea because once you clear the rainforest, the land is largely infertile, and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. The answer is they invented a soil. It's called terra preta, and it's a man-made soil that's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes that are not found in adjoining soil, and it's based around biochar. You can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta, and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the atmosphere. The Amazonians were environmentalists, and they were scientists. They created a sustainable system that lasted for thousands of years, and it's only now, as we destroy the rainforest, that we're beginning to understand just how sophisticated and advanced their culture was. Recent evidence suggests that the Amazon is not simply a wild rainforest, but rather a man-made garden. Certain trees, like Brazil nut trees and ice cream bean trees, dominate the tree regime and were intentionally cultivated and grown by people living in the Amazon over thousands of years. These hyper-dominant species indicate a deliberate and purposeful manipulation of the environment by the ancient Amazonian culture. As we continue to uncover more about the Amazon, we also discover massive geometrical structures that are yet to be fully explained. It's clear that there's a lot more to the Amazon than meets the eye, and as we piece together this puzzle, we may find ourselves with a new understanding of the ancient world and the incredible feats that humans could achieve. In the Amazon, thousands of henges are now emerging from the cleared areas of the jungle, and others have been identified for the first time using LiDAR technology. It stands for Light Imaging and Detection Radar, and it's a powerful tool that allows us to see what's hidden beneath the jungle without damaging it. LiDAR technology is non-destructive and can be used to see what's under the trees. Here's how it works. Helicopters mount laser beams that scan the forest, creating a detailed map of the area. And this technique is uncovering some amazing things. Let me give you an example from Guatemala. This small country is home to some famous Mayan ruins like Tikal, but archaeologists had no idea that there were over 60,000 more structures in the area until they used LiDAR. And that's just in a country of 100,000 square kilometers. So, what could we find if we used this technology in the vast Amazon rainforest? The evidence we have so far is already tantalizing. LiDAR is revealing thousands of hengist in the Amazon. These structures are deep ditches surrounded by huge embankments, and they often form circular or square patterns. But what's truly intriguing is their age. Some of the earliest sites date back to over 3,500 years ago, which means these structures were built long before the Greeks were thought to have performed exercises like squaring the circle. And the thing is, we've barely scratched the surface. But what's fascinating about them is the very powerful geometry and astronomy that they exhibit. Many of the sites are perfectly aligned to true north, true south, true east, and true west, indicating that astronomers were at work in the Amazon. The geometry is very complex and precise, revealing the presence of people with advanced geometrical skills. The scale of the sites, with hundreds of meters of gigantic earthworks, tells us that this was a highly organized project that was undertaken on a very large scale or by very large numbers of people. The archaeologists involved feel the same way, and they are just looking at the edges of a mystery that deserves much further attention. There are over 5.5 million square kilometers of Amazon rainforest that have yet to be investigated. What remains to be found in this vast area? What other mysteries and secrets lie hidden beneath the canopy? It's a colossal mystery, and one that we're only beginning to explore. In the Amazon, there is an intriguing development that challenges our understanding of this ancient region. The cases of the explored sites so far have revealed structures that are at least 3,000 years old. This raises the question of a heritage of extremely ancient knowledge that has yet to be fully understood. It is highly unlikely that these perfectly geometrical square or circular earthworks, aligned to true north, south, east, and west on an enormous scale, were created overnight without a background or reason for doing so. It is interesting to note that none of these sites were lived in, and no habitation refuge has been found in them whatsoever, leaving us to wonder what they were used for. This is a fascinating development that deserves further exploration and study.